hit go live. I hit record. Now we're waiting. It's loading. If you guys see that.
You truly do not know someone until you find them.
True that though. You probably don't know a lot about somebody. You'll probably learn a lot about somebody when you fight them.
Think we're live? We're live? Yes. Awesome. Great. Sweet. This is our Christmas special. Hell excited.
December 23rd, 2017. Here we go.
Christmas unplugged. Cool, guys. We're going to talk about a lot of things with Christmas that some people may get mad about because it's their favorite holiday. This is the time of the year that you get together. Everyone's under the Christmas tree. You open up presents. You know what I mean? It's just a great time to have, or a great time to be in during the holidays. So, I don't know. I mean, how's your family celebrate Christmas?
My family celebrates Christmas like kind of traditionally. Like I go over to my mom's house. All the family comes over. All the immediate family comes over. And we open presents. We have dinner. We have wine, and we put a Yule log on the TV.
You guys do the eggnog?
No, I hate eggnog. My whole family hates eggnog. Eggnog's disgusting. But
Whoa.
I had eggnog one time, and I was like, why do people do this to themselves? But yeah, we put the Yule log on. We sit there, we open presents, and we have a good time. So I mean, that's what Christmas is about to us. You know, no religious aspect applied to it in any way. It's just family getting together.
Got it. And there's always a religious aspect because ever since they're growing up, being, Catholic, my mom always said, it's Jesus' birthday. We're going to make a cake for him, and I'm just like, oh, okay, So growing up, I always thought it was Jesus' birthday. I always thought that this is a time to celebrate. This is a Christian holiday. And it isn't until you get a little bit older that you start learning different things. You know what I mean? You start meeting people who know a little bit more, and
you start learning a little bit more about the specific holiday, and then ultimately you start connecting dots. You know what I mean? And in terms of like how people regularly think, they don't think very deeply. Like they would think that you're connecting dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, but
Right. It's crazy though. Being younger, just always realizing that like, when winter came, there was less sun. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just kind of just knew that when winter's coming, well, it's 4 or 5 p.m. It's going to get dark soon. And when it's summer, well, the sun stays out till 8 or 9. That's just, we live in a world we have air conditioning. We have an AC, a heater. I mean, we're enclosed with insulation.
Nowadays, we're living like kings and queens.
Yeah,
like the average person is living like a king and queen.
So basically, what I want people to do is put yourself in the mindset. Put yourself literally in the mindset of these people back in the years of BC, right, before Christ, and literally say to yourself, okay, I'm a hunter, I'm a gatherer, like there's not much to do but to hunt, gather, or go into war for my king. Like this is all I do day in and day out. You have to put yourself in that perspective. Put yourself in their shoes. You're living back in this time, right? Times are scary in a sense that you may not have to worry about bills and stuff, but you got to worry about the lion, tigers, and bears out there trying to get you.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? And so it's like...
Simpler time.
Simpler time, but at the same time, more dangerous. And so you're seeing these things happen, and you're starting to notice, okay, wow, it's getting colder night by night. The sun is raising, but now the sun seems to be getting lower and lower.
Less and less daylight.
And lower. And you're starting to say to yourself, wow, you get down to where it's December, and when you've seen it in December, the sun is at a certain position, right? In December. And it seems to get, and I say this because you can see this for yourself. The sun gets a little bit lower, even halfway through the month, even into December 15th. It gets a little bit lower and a little bit lower every time it rises, and it sets lower. And you start noticing it, like, even if you go to work or something, you're like, wow, at 5 p.m., out of nowhere, it's dark. All of a sudden, like a week later, 4:30 p.m., it gets darker quicker.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, the sun's going down. So this would be called the winter solstice.
Yeah.
Solstice is when the sun completely stops, which would be ultimately December 22nd. It stops completely. So when December 22nd hits, interesting thing happens. The sun, for some strange reason, seems to die. So again, keep your mind in the perspective of these people back in those times. They're seeing the sun.
How they understood it, yeah.
Right. They're seeing the sun and it's not moving no more. So they're like, hey, this keeps up. Like our crops aren't going to grow. We're going to die. Like we're not going to have life.
The sun's dying.
The sun's dying. And ultimately 23rd comes, 24th comes. They're starting to get scared. But keep in mind, 3 days have passed. December 25th, interesting things happens. It goes up. It literally goes up. So to them, I mean, I don't know about you, but if it was me and I was living back in those times, the sun's starting to go up again, I'm like, bro, party.
Yeah, dude, like kind of like how like in terms of like the sun on the horizon line, it's maintaining the same position for those days.
Right.
And then the 25th comes along and the sun rises 1 degree, indicating longer days, warmer temperatures, and the rebirth of the sun. The rebirth of the sun. That's how they knew that everything's going to be okay. That's how they knew that spring was going to eventually come and everything was going to start getting better from that point on.
Wait, whose son is it, though?
God's son.
It's not your son, is it?
It's not my son.
It's not my son either.
So
It's God's son, right? God's son is born again 3 days later, right?
3 days later was thus resurrected. So, in terms of Christmas and the solstice that Christmas is kind of based around, you kind of understand that that's where Jesus does get his story, like death on the cross, 3 days later was thus resurrected, the Son of God. It's basically an astrological allegory based off the precession of the stars, and we'll get into that definitely in more depth on other podcasts. And a shout out to give yourself a look. Go watch Zeitgeist. It'll definitely elaborate much more on what we're talking about.
You know what's crazy too is that I realized later on, because I ended up looking into the other gods, and I actually realized, holy shit, like these other gods have the same birthday as Jesus Christ. We're talking about Mithra. We're talking about Horus. I mean, there's so many gods that literally have the exact same birthday.
Dionysus, yeah.
Right. And these were way before Christianity started.
Oh, yeah, way before. Same exact story. You know what I mean? Same exact story, like whereas like born on the cross, died 3 days later, resurrected, had 12 apostles, all that whatnot, like all the key aspects that Jesus had in his story are all the same aspects these other gods had thousands of years before him, hundreds and then thousands of years before him. And so like you got to pay attention to that, and people don't pay attention.
It was 1,000 years ago. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, does that have any power? Does that have any power on your life now? It doesn't matter.
It does matter for this reason.
Yeah.
Stories are personified. Bottom line.
Add personification.
They had the personification of what happened. Obviously, 3 days later, their son was reborn, right? So, and it's really important in terms of the Roman belief. The Romans believed, and their main god was Mithra at the time. So, to them, they personified that and said Mithra died and was resurrected again 3 days later. You know, it's funny because, you know, the sun god ends up becoming the Son of God later on with Jesus Christ, where people said December 25th is the day that, you know, Jesus was born. The only reason that even is said is because of Constantine, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But what I want to get into is the fact that people need to realize that, and by the way, what religion are you?
I'm not really any particular religion. I follow I'm not a specific religion, so I would say I'm an atheist or maybe an agnostic. But in terms of like spirituality, I would follow along the lines of Buddhism, Taoism. So, but as in terms of Christianity, I suppose I'm an atheist.
Okay, and then that's awesome. And I with me with atheism, it's kind of hard to say I don't think I'm an atheist. I'm pretty sure I'm spiritual because I believe in transcendence.
Spiritual, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you believe the same thing, and it's, to me, when it comes to all of this, I really believe that. I have a lot of respect for religion, though, in a sense of the Bible. I have a lot of respect for the Bible. So I think it's doctrine still. You should still read it, and you should still learn from it, just like anything else you learn. I think I have a respect for it because it's lasted this long.
Yeah.
It's crazy how long it's lasted. So everybody should have respect for it. Everybody should at least read it, especially if you deny it. Read it then. You know, learn more about your enemy.
I guess I could say I just admire the general religions of Christianity. I just admire it because it has a lot of good moral values it can teach people for the most part. Some of it is fairly negative. A lot of the stories and some of the teachings of the Bible of itself are pretty negative. But ultimately, when it really comes down to it, it does have some basic moral values that it should teach, and that I think are good, and that I'm really happy that people are following.
So, in terms of the day, right? December 25th. So already you can tell that Jesus' birthday can already be a plagiarism of past gods. So you can tell already that it doesn't seem like his birthday it's in that. What does the Bible have to say about that? So when we go into the Bible, right? Bible literally says, there's literally a part in the Bible where an angel comes and visits the shepherds that had visited Joseph and Mary. So Joseph and Mary during this time, it was actually Caesar at this time that basically called everybody back to their cities to pay their taxes. So when the people ended up coming back, Joseph and Mary, they couldn't get into any of the inns. There was too many people. So they ended up they had to stay at a stable.
Like where horses and stuff stay at.
Exactly, right? So they were at the stable, and they literally they literally were there, and shepherds came to them. The shepherds said that an angel announced the birth of the baby Jesus at that time. And when the angel came to them, they came to them while they were tending to their flocks at night. So that already tells you Palestinian winters are very cold. I actually just looked this up today at 5 p.m. today, because that means it was 2 a.m. over there in Palestine. It was 45 degrees.
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else. It's 45 degrees. My ass ain't out there.
Like that. I'd be out there 45 degrees shepherding sheep and whatnot, no.
Right? I kind of feel like, I feel like if I went to Palestine right now, like, you know how we see random like cats and dogs? I feel like there's random sheep just fucking just like coming out the corner and shit. like everyone's hella tending to them randomly. But there's something about Palestine. It's just, I don't know, it's fucking different. But it's cold. It's at least fucking cold.
It's a bit nippy out there, yeah.
Right. I know you.
Colder than what we think.
Right. You definitely can't be out there during that time. So already that tells you that if they were announcing the birth, there weren't shepherds out there tending to their flock. And we don't know how the magnetosphere was during then. Maybe it was colder on Earth. Maybe it was warmer. We don't know that, but still, it's a good chance that they weren't out there during that time. I mean, there's so many other reasons we can go on about, but Jesus' birthday definitely probably wasn't on December 25th. We could definitely say that. Another aspect to that, too, is the fact that going into the gods, like Mithra, like Bacchus. If anybody plays Smite, he's the fat dude that just burps and shit everywhere. And it's funny because, honestly, talking about Christmas, he is literally depicted as a chubby, big, bearded white man. Like, that's what he is. Santa Claus, right? He almost looks like that. And it's basically, he's the god of wine. Also, they believed in Saturnalia, the god of agriculture. And he would go and, Romans that ended up invading up into northern England, or southern England, those people ended up, given the same aspects and what they learned or what they basically were taught. They taught those people about, Bacchus and the Festival of Fools. So you see that obviously in the movie Hunchback of Notre Dame, whenever, Quasimodo ends up becoming the fool. That's the exact same thing. Right?
Understandable, yeah.
Right, it's understandable. But it's crazy, man. There's so many things that we need to realize about the history of Christmas, because really it isn't a story about Christmas. This is a story about paganism. Meaning everybody back then believed in paganism. Everybody had pagan roots. They had their own beliefs. Everyone personified things, just like you had Zeus who, what if I saw you back, say me and you were living in Greece and all of a sudden I saw you get struck by lightning? I would think you and Zeus had some fucking beef.
Zeus just struck my ass down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would be like, look, my friend Brandon had beef with Zeus and he died. That's what I said at your funeral. That's it. Bottom line.
Straight up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so bottom line is...
everyone else would have been would have accepted it. Like, oh.
Yes. They would have wrote books about it. The man who had beef with Zeus and died.
Directly. He just said, I'm not having your shit. And he's like, well, boom.
Yep, sorry, you're dead. But I mean, that's what people do. That's what people back then did. So you have to realize these stories come through centuries. And people just, for some reason, can't put their own shoes in the shoes of the people back then. It's just the weirdest thing. But let's talk about something that's very, very crazy. Saturnalia.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Saturnalia, what is the... What is Saturnalia? What's the origin of the word? What is it in relation to Christmas and Christianity, I suppose? Mm-hmm. And when and where did it start?
So we're gonna talk about lots and lots of butt sex.
Oh yeah.
Okay, lots of butt sex.
Man on man.
Man on man, butt sex. Okay, this is what happened back then. You got to think about this. You got soldiers, right? They're out at war for months, years at a time. The war of Troy, the war of Troy was 10 years. I mean, y'all think it's weird? Come on now. You think it's weird that a man fucks another man in prison? That's what happened. It's just you're around nothing but men for 10 years. So this was a normal thing.
They were out at war, like Greece and the Spartans and whatnot. They were away from their wives for days, months, years at a time. They were Yeah, they were doing what you're thinking.
Yeah, and so you have to realize Saturnalia. I mean, these people of Rome, like it was kind of like a normal thing. They fucked men and beat their wives, like that. That's what Saturnalia was to them.
Beat their wives, went and banged a bunch of dudes, drank a bunch of wine, committed anarchy around time. That's essentially what Saturnalia was.
December 17th through the 24th. On the 25th, they would exchange gifts because it was the rebirth of the god Mithra. And it's crazy though.
Sorry for beating your ass and beating your wife and then banging you and then stealing your shit and burning down your house. Here's some corn. I'm sorry.
You know what's crazy? It would only happen once a year. It would only happen once. What's a movie that we watched where it only happened once a year like that?
The Purge.
The Purge.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost like
to that effect, yeah.
the Purge has already happened. Like the Purge literally has already happened. And by the way, the second Purge was awesome. I love that. I love both Purges actually.
Isn't there 3 of them?
3? No, there's only 2.
Purge 2 and Election Day.
I'm pretty sure it's just the Purge and then the Purge Election Day. I thought Election Day was part 2.
You might be right. I'm not sure. Huh.
Well, shit. In the comments below, somebody please let us know if there's 3 Purges. Please
I thought there was. Just
confirm that, and please provide your sources. So yeah, man, like it's just like the Purge. That literally, like it's almost like, okay, guys, take out any aggression you have, and that's what they would do. They held on to this belief, and people don't realize they held on to this shit. So in the 4th century, Constantine, which is one of my favorite people just because of how influential he is, Constantine literally was like, hey, we need to convert these people. We need to make them Christian. So we need to make Saturnalia a part of Christianity. And that's what he did. He literally tried to make it a part of Christianity where they try to say, you know what? The birth of Jesus Christ was December 25th. The same date as Mithra. Well, I mean, why not? There's other deities that had the exact same date. I mean, a deity that rises from the dead 3 days later, that's an awesome story. People will follow that.
Oh, yeah.
So he obviously...
Especially if you give me some moral values, and especially if you give me some like teachings about what's going to happen in my afterlife as well. All that like combined together, definitely going to like that story a lot, especially if I'm a simple person of the time. So.
And they kept that going from the 4th century all the way up to the 16th century. They kept that up. It wasn't until the 17th century, though. I think it was Pope Gregory. He actually ended up saying, look, y'all niggas, this shit's getting out of hand. Stop this shit, all of you.
Y'all need to stop doing what you're doing.
He said stop this. I mean, they outlawed it. And I think it was 16... Well, he ended up at that time calling it Christ Mass. So it's 2 separate words, Christ Mass. Not just Christmas, but it was actually Christ Mass, Mass of Christ, people that believe in Christ. He actually created that word. And then later on, they had to end up banning it because things just got out of hand every year. So, I mean, it's like the Purge. I mean, could you imagine if we really did have the Purge? I mean, we would probably want to leave America. And that's what happened. Like a lot of the Puritans that, you know, we hear about, like the Mayflower and people coming over from another area to come here. They came here for other reasons, obviously, yes. But that was one of the reasons. Yeah, they came over is because they're like, hey, this Saturnalia shit, this ain't cool.
It's crazy, yeah.
Like, we got to leave. And they would come over here. As soon as they came to the colonies, they banned it immediately. It was
like,
banned.
Like, what is this? Yeah.
Right? In the mid 17th century, it was banned. Like, you could not practice in Saturnalia. And Saturnalia at that time, they banned it for only maybe 4 years. And then it was still reinstituted. But during the 1700s and up, it kind of went underground. Mm-hmm. So,
well, like the rich people and the higher class and the elites were still practicing.
Exactly, yeah. Kind of like they do maybe today. But, yeah, they were still practicing that. And it's crazy, though, because it definitely went underground. If you ever read up on, like, a police force, and I just knew this from another gentleman I talked to. The first time police force ever got instituted, I believe, was in the 1830s, I believe, or a little earlier, where basically they came in New York City because people were practicing Saturnalia, and they basically had to outlaw it there, and they needed a police force to do that. Mm. So that's the first time police force was ever instituted. So, right?
Was it for Saturnalia?
Yeah, like literally for Saturnalia. Yeah, the first time the police force ever instituted in America was because of Saturnalia.
Interesting.
So,
nice.
I know it was pre-Civil War, so, but it was. I mean, it's just crazy to think that, like, wow, it's that important. It's that big of a deal in history. That's what's nuts. That's what's really crazy. So all that ended up happening, and again, we're just talking about just the history of Christmas, because later on, what ended up happening was Charles Dickens ended up coming with what we all know, which is the Christmas Carol, right?
Yeah, the classic of classics in terms of Christmas. Yeah.
Right. Ebenezer Scrooge. Well, we got to do my job name, Ebenezer. It's awesome.
Ebenezer.
I love it. God. But he fucking like Ebenezer Scrooge went through some shit, and he changed as a person. It warmed everyone's hearts, and people got more accustomed to the spirit of Christmas at the time.
Exactly.
During that time too, as well, a little bit later, obviously Santa Claus got implemented. Do you? So I got a question. How like in depth are you with like your family lineage?
With my family lineage,
You guys talk about hearths?
no, like hearths as in like a fireplace.
Well, no, not hearths. Like hearths, more like in hearts, like little people, like little dwarves and little people. They're in like Southern California. I don't fuck with them, but like yeah, like little people.
No, like in terms of dwarves and hobbits and whatnot. No, in terms of my family lineage, I just know that my family is Irish, Russian, Danish, and
You said
French.
Russian?
Yeah, Irish, Russian, Danish, and French. And
Привет.
and part of
Wow.
part of Native American. And
Oh,
and
don't say Native American.
I don't know. My dad's a 16th, which makes my dad's an 8th, which makes me.
Are you getting money for being Native American?
No.
Then you're not Native
Well,
American.
my dad could, but I can't. But
Oh God.
But I don't. You know how a lot of people like to flaunt it? I don't. I'm just like I do say that I am part of it, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm Cherokee.
Didn't we create genocide? Didn't we kill like 90%?
Of the Native American?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
You're all here. Obviously, y'all claim it.
Yeah, exactly. But I stand by what I said. But that's where we came from. But in terms of like hearths and like I guess supernatural entities like hobbits and dwarves are real, so I can't.
Hobbits.
But like the gnomes and fairies and shit like that. Like, what exactly do you mean? Like, what's your question exactly? Like, do I believe in it?
Oh
Or
fuck.
do we
no.
talk about
This
it?
is an off topic. I don't even want to go there because we believe in little people, don't we?
Have you
we
ever
do.
seen a little person?
I don't want to talk about it on this podcast. So it'll definitely be for a different one. But there are little people out there, and I'm not talking about like midgets. I'm talking about like
Gnomes?
like
Like little tiny little fairy people?
dude. That's a different podcast.
No.
Anyways,
Someone been smoking this room.
right. But pretty much, I mean, yeah, there's different beliefs out there. Hearths. I was just wondering with hearths, just because the story of Santa Claus does come from a hearth.
Okay.
Story of Santa Claus is crazy. And then to finish off the history real quick before we jump into that, to finish off the history of Christmas, 1890 is when the U.S. Congress finally said, look, Christmas is legal in the United States. You guys can practice it. It's not a big deal. Go ahead and do what you want to do.
Then we started doing it, but we started applying like more Christian values to it, and applying
And commercialization.
commercialization via Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, and through Scrooge and all the other different things. And so through that got a lot of play through and a lot of like popularity because we had the commercialism of it. We had the help of Charles Dickens, who was a Mason at the time. And if
I've heard that before.
If you're a high-ranking Freemason, you have a lot of different connections and resources to your disposal. So if you want to advertise this on a large scale, you're a Mason.
We'll talk about that at the end.
You have friends that are in Masons that can help you do this and help you get this out commercially and sell it a lot. And then over time, it started teaching like, oh, we give out presents at this time. It became a big commercial enterprise. And
How do you get presents?
How do you get presents? Your family would present presents to you for your.
How do you get them?
You go out and you buy them commercially.
Ooh, purchase them.
So yeah, exactly. That adds a little influx to the economy. It helps out. So like, it was all really well thought out, I believe.
Right. So this is all just history of Christmas. So the history of Christmas, I mean, that's crazy, right? It's like, holy wow, I didn't realize like all this stuff really happened back then. So going from the history to now, more of the stuff that people criticize people for, which is, and then there's one side of Christians that are like, hey, you need to be really biblical, don't do this. And there's another side of Christians that say, no, this is Jesus' birthday. It's obvious that it wasn't. So let's talk about what you're doing whenever you're doing these so-called pagan acts. So I have some friends that are like, well, it's not a big deal, man. I could do Christmas if I want to, you know what I mean? Because it's fun, and I can have a Christmas tree and do whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. So you mind doing me a favor? What? You mind playing a Ouija board? I mean, it's not a big deal, right? Let's just take a piece of paper and write some letters, and then let's take this glass and...
They'll say like all these things and beliefs have no power, but then as soon as you bring out like Ouija board as something that has the same amount of belief to it as anything else,
people freak out.
They'll say no. They'll say no. Like, I'm not
Everybody
gonna do that.
freaks out.
I'm not trying to bring a demon into my life or something like that. Yeah.
It's like it's just a ritual. It's not a big deal, bro. Yeah. Just do it. And like honestly, and that's what I mean. Like when it comes to all these, like, what are the rituals? What are we talking about? Okay, let's talk about maybe something that I'm kind of nervous about. Okay, so let's talk about the whole background. So we obviously talked about like where the December 25th and the deities and Mithra and stuff like that. But really, when it comes to Christmas, like I think to me, the root of Christmas isn't even that bad. It's just a Scandinavian belief or a German belief that they have this pine tree that they have and they idolize it, right? They bring it into their home because in the wintertime, it's a bad time, man. Like, we want to take, and it's crazy because if you talk to any pagan or you look at pagan beliefs or you look at what pagan people do, they take holly. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, la 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 la. They take the holly, bro, and they make it in a circle and they put it on their door to protect them against the cold, the winter, the spirits, anything that's bad on the outside. They do that, bro. And it's like, that's important. Like, you're doing a tradition. You're doing a pagan ritual when you do that. So I'm not Christian, but if I was Christian, it's like, well, I don't believe what they believe in. I believe in Christ, so I'm going to do my Christian stuff. So maybe they shouldn't be doing stuff like that because that's a pagan belief. To me, I think it's okay to do that because I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool. Like, shit, okay, put some hollies. That shit looks nice. Shit, put it on the door. I think it looks cool. Like, we have one right now on our door. We're not pagan, but we just do it because it looks cool.
Yeah.
And it looks nice, cool. I like it. Shit, put it up there.
Follow the tradition of it, I guess. Yeah.
And I can understand the spiritual aspect of it. That's awesome. So people do that sometimes, but when we're talking about like the Christmas tree in general, like, so I have a friend, right? She shout out to Nicole. Worked with her. She's an awesome girl. She's pagan and went to her house one time, and she literally had like she had a Christmas tree in her house, and all I said was, "Hey, like, nice Christmas tree." She's like, "That's not a Christmas tree." I was like,
"Yeah, it is."
What the fuck?
That's a Christmas tree.
She's like, "That's my Yule tree." I'm like, okay, shit. Sorry, like, it looks like a Christmas tree. She's like, "No, it's not a Christmas tree." I was like, "This is for the winter solstice." And I was like, okay, well, and then so I asked her, I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, we're pagan. We don't believe in, you guys stole that from us. And I'm like, okay, so what does it mean? And she's like, so the Christmas tree is the only thing that's still alive during the wintertime. And they want to celebrate life. So they bring it into their home and they idolize it. So if you're Christian, you probably shouldn't do things like that. So in Jeremiah, what's really interesting, actually, can you pull up Jeremiah on your phone?
Sure.
Yeah. Look up Jeremiah, I think it's 10:2-4.
Got it.
Oh, awesome. Perfect. So in this one, right? Thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heavens are dismayed at them. For the customs of people are vain. This was crazy. The one cutteth the tree at the forest, the work of the hands of a workman with the axe. So talking about someone going and cutting a tree. That makes sense. It makes sense. They deck it with silver and gold.
To decorate it.
Okay. They fasten it with nails and hammers.
To make sure it stands upright.
That it not move. Okay, so they're talking about a TV in the house then, right?
Yeah, or they're talking about a table. Or they're
talking about a table? Maybe they're talking about a refrigerator.
Yeah, right?
Right?
They could talk about anything else other than a tree.
That can't be that can't be a Christmas tree. No, there's no way that the Bible would know. There's no way that Jeremiah and God would know about Christmas trees.
People argue this, though. People argue this.
And that's what's crazy. No. There's posts on the internet where people go, no, he's not talking about that. You guys need to understand it's called idolizing. I talked to somebody the other day that was like, oh, I'm just tired. I spent all day looking for my Christmas tree. And I was like, all day? I was like, oh, you're a Christian, right? He goes, yeah, so you believe it's... And I was kind of fucking with him being a smartass. And I was like, oh, so you believe it's, Jesus' birthday? He's like, of course it is. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay, cool. So, it's Jesus' birthday. Awesome. So you were doing this. Cool. You were, looking for this Christmas tree. It took you all day. He's like, oh, from 11 to 6. I was like, oh, shit, 7 hours. Fuck. So then at the end of it all, I was like, hey, so just real quick, if you don't have to answer this, like how many hours did you go to church, right? He goes, yeah. I was like, how many, is it 2-3 hours? He's like, oh, it was only 1 hour. I was like, oh, okay. He was Catholic. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I get it. Stand up, sit down. So you went there. So you spent 4 hours this month at church. Yeah. Did you do anything else? What do you mean? Did I do anything else? I was like, what did you like? Did you pray at home, do the rosary, anything? He's like, oh, I guess not, no. And I was like, well, you did spend a little more extra time on your Christmas tree than you did going to church. So aren't you idolizing that tree? Going to get the tree, going to fasten it, going to decorate it, going to put the lights, going to put it in a certain corner, going to take pictures with the family around it. Like, bro, that's like idolizing it. Like, that's what you're doing. Like, should you do that? I do that, but I'm not Christian. So I'm cool with it. But if you're a Christian, you probably shouldn't be doing things like that because you're idolizing it. So the first commandment, I'm the Lord your God. There are no other gods or idols besides me. Like,
if you're a devout Christian, you're acting directly against the teachings, like the real teachings of your religion. So yeah, like he said, you probably shouldn't be practicing this. Like,
right, exactly.
So yeah. I do it because it's always been a tradition of mine. I don't subscribe to any specific religion, and it's a good tradition that brings my family together, makes us happy. So that's why we practice it, and then we know that. But if you are a Christian and you believe that this is that Jesus would like what you're doing, and Christianity tells you to do this, then you're wrong and you shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
So
it's obvious. If you look into what pagans believe in and what pagans do, you can see them. They're always around trees and stuff. The tree's alive. Like, bro, they're into trees. They're bringing the same damn tree in your house.
Like,
like,
bring it into their home closer to them.
We're not saying pagans are bad. Like, to me,
No,
I think pagans are good-hearted people.
Just
like, it's
different.
not. Yeah, they're just different. Like, it's just crazy to me that people would say. I guess the annoying part has to do. We'll get into it. Is the fact of telling your children that Christmas is about Jesus. Christmas is about being Christian. Like, that's just like. It's a lie, and I think people know that.
It is a blatant lie, and we've turned it into a Christian like Christmas, like Jesus thing, but originally it wasn't. So we need to understand that and come to that.
We sit in our home and we do certain things. We do certain things that are rituals, and we don't realize it. Like, do you remember like the Yule log? Mm-hmm. They would like put that shit like in people's houses, right?
Mm-hmm. I put it up on my TV every Christmas. Yeah.
Oh my God! I just imagine you guys all. Who's all there?
My whole family's there. My dad, my mom, Peyton, James, Alan, and we just put we don't think much of it. We just think it's something pleasant to have on the TV.
Hella just sipping on eggnog.
We hate eggnog. Oh my God, I hate eggnog. We'll all be drinking like peppermint schnapps or something, and coffee. But
peppermint snogs? What is
schnapps?
Schnapps?
You know what peppermint schnapps is?
No, I've never had.
Are you kidding
I'm
me?
black. No, we fucking barbecue. We don't fucking schnapps.
I forgot. You have a whiskey and Hennessy. Get up out of here.
Oh my God.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to teach you about peppermint schnapps and hot cocoa.
Fucking tomorrow. God. No, 2 days from now.
Oh, absolutely, sir. My goodness gracious.
Peppermint schnapps.
Oh, holy guacamole! You have never had peppermint schnapps.
Is it a Klondike bar?
It's better than a Klondike bar because it gets alcoholic.
God. What would I do for a schnapps?
It's
that doesn't sound right.
It's schnapps. Schnapps.
With a P?
No, yeah. I can't spell it. It's schnapps. Schnapps. It's German, I think.
Привет. You should have understood that. Нас не догонят.
La Blitzkrieg.
Oh, fuck. No, I won't.
I apologize. I'm a little buzzed on the schnapps right now. So.
Okay.
All right, as you're saying.
Mm-hmm. But, okay, so going back to that. So the Christmas tree, right? All these traditions that we do. Okay. There's one that freaks me the fuck out.
Which one?
So, pretty much, so when you're doing these kind of rituals, when you're doing things like that, there are rituals. In the end, you're doing a ritual. Like, you are. Like, pagans already do this.
Pay mind to it. Pay mind to what you're doing.
And it's actually not a bad thing. If you're going to put, what's that called when you put, it's a wreath, right? A wreath?
A wreath. It's not wreath, it's wreath. R-E-E-T-H, I think. Or R-E-A-T-H. Or R-E-E-F.
Okay. So when you put that in front of your door, you're putting out for protection against spirits. That's not bad. But there's one that really freaks me out. So you have to keep in mind. So in my own research, it seems like the Scandinavians and the Celtics. Shout out to Kyle Warrington. He's the #1 Celtic in Sacramento.
Is he practicing Celtic?
We'll find that out on another podcast.
Oh,
So pretty much I mean, they actually believed. And it was crazy because you see all these Christmas lights out there, right? Everybody's Christmas lights. That origin goes back, though, to the fact that they would actually light, oil waxed candles in front of their door. And this is what freaks me out. They would put that in front of their door. And the reason they did that is because they wanted loved ones or past ancestors to find their way back to the house.
Yep. Yeah.
Ooh, gosh. Ooh.
I don't know. I like to research a lot about esoterics, and like when you do something like that, I believe you're doing more than just attracting your loved ones back to you. You could be attracting anything back to you in your home. So you gotta be careful when you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And that's one of the traditions we do all the time with Christmas. I mean, decorated the balls with boughs of holly and just everything. And then ultimately, when you realize that in the end, they believe in Yule. I mean, the story of Yule is kind of similar to Nimrod in the fact that when the Yule log burns, right, then the next day, once it's completely burned, what sprouts from that is a tree fir, right? It's a pine tree. And basically, that's one of the reasons why they celebrate it, but people put that in their houses as well. And if you believe in Yule, Yule's not exactly the coolest character. Like, this dude is
Not a very good guy?
No, he's a horned. Sometimes they depict him as the horned god. Sometimes they depict him as a goat. Sometimes they depict him as Baphomet, right? And he rides along with, it's him and God, I can't remember the name. It's basically there would be him and Newpript.
Who's Newpript?
He is what people like to believe in Krampus. If you know what Krampus is,
yeah.
right? He would have
Krampus.
He would have like a sack with switches, and if you were bad, you would get switched, and he'd take you away in his bag if you were really bad.
Yeah,
that's kind of fucking crazy. Like, whoa, like
and that's like associated directly with Santa too.
What the
Especially
fuck?
in Germany,
what would they do with the kids? Like, the little guy.
He took away the bad kids and either beat them or ate them. Like he would eat them.
Oh, what if?
Like he just beat you if you were bad, but if you were real bad, he'd eat you.
Oh, I just imagine being eaten. Just like he bites on my ribs first and just
takes your arm off.
That's nasty. That's fucking
Yeah, that's what they teach you, man. And they still celebrate that kind of stuff over in the Eastern European countries today. They have parades and celebrations about Krampus to this day.
I've seen those, yeah.
You
YouTube those, you'll see those celebrations of Krampus. They're pretty big too. Like hella Scandinavians, hella fucking Germans.
It's crazy that they're into it because Krampus will kill your kids, man. Why you
I think they celebrate it because they keep the kids in line that way.
Yeah, that's true. Like, it's kind of a fucked up way to keep your kids in line. You better be good, Timmy, or Krampus is gonna bite your leg off.
It's a tool to parenting. Well, you know what's crazy though? But if you're a Christian and you're kind of disturbed about some of the things that we're saying, really, I know some Christians. I'm being completely 100% about this. I know some Christians that still celebrate Christmas, but they do it in a different way. It's kind of crazy. So Queen Victoria, I don't know if you can get a picture of Queen Victoria on the screen with the two pictures. Queen Victoria, and I believe, I'm going to fuck this up. What was his name? Oh my god, I can't remember his name right now. Queen Victoria and George, maybe King George. Oh, all of them were kings, some like George or John. But anyways, Queen Victoria had the first Christmas tree. So she placed this in her home. All the other English people 4 years later ended up all putting up the Christmas tree in their homes. But what's crazy about Queen Victoria and the tree that they put up is that I feel like it's a symbolism of the paradise tree. A lot of Christians that knew about paganism roots would put up a paradise tree in their home.
Paradise tree, explain.
It's a green tree. It's just green. It's green, and you have to think about it. What's a paradise tree? Paradise tree is a tree that was in paradise. Where was paradise?
Eden.
Ooh, there you go.
Garden of Eden.
Garden of Eden. So Adam and Eve had the paradise tree, and there was one tree in particular called the tree of knowledge. That tree of knowledge ended up having an apple that you were not supposed to partake of. So Christians, to kind of take away from what happened, because Pope Gregory back in the 1600s, he did try. He tried his best when he did the Christmas. He tried to convert so many people from paganism to Christianity. But with the paradise tree, They really, really tried. And a lot of people would place that tree in their home instead of a pine tree. Pine tree is a pagan root. The paradise tree is a Christian root because the paradise tree has apples. It's actually apples on there. They would hang apples on their paradise tree.
Interesting.
So nowadays, the reason why we hang the big red ornament on our pine trees is supposed to symbolize the apple, the same apple of Adam and Eve.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right?
Oh, I never really thought about that before.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I have seen a lot of ornaments been in the shape of apples before. So
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just, it's crazy, the whole history, the background, the rituals. I mean...
Wasn't the original Christmas tree supposed to be an apple tree? Or am I wrong?
Oh, and I have no idea about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More information on that.
Mm-hmm. But I just think it's interesting, all the information when it comes to Christmas and what's out there. But like nowadays, man, it's gone a different direction. Like, again, not Christian, but these Christians may be onto something with the whole, Satan coming back to earth kind of thing. Like, if I wanted to hurt people, you mentioned earlier that Charles Dickens was actually a Freemason, right? Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that we commercialize so much in Santa Claus. We are so materialistic. I mean, look at our Black Fridays. Look at the way people act nowadays. It's all about the gifts. Like, how was your Christmas shopping?
It was pretty insane. Black Friday was crazy. People were just like being very aggressive and mean to each other, hurting each other, trying to get over each other, trying to get into this buy and whatnot. And my recent shopping today and a few weeks ago, it's just like everyone being very rude, like bumping into you, trying to get around you, just trying to get like, I don't know, just trying to get like over you at any chance they can.
Did they say excuse me?
No. Well, very, 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 very little. Very little. A lot of rudeness.
Did you say excuse me?
Yeah, I was saying excuse me, pardon me constantly. Like I was saying it for them as they were walking by me, but like
excuse me, bitch.
Oh, but my bad. Oh, excuse me, or behind you, or oh, well, watch out, or this or that. But no, but people were just like, this girl just like walked right in front of me and like grazed, like her hair like grazed my chin as she walked by me, and I was like, excuse you.
Was she hot?
Yeah, she was hot. So I didn't complain. But her mom, she was with her mom. She walked by. She told her, she's like, say excuse me, and I was just like, yeah, bitch, say excuse me. Yeah. I know she's like 25. She's like 25 with like her 50-year-old mom.
Holy shit. Well, I mean, that's my point though, is that like, it's all commercialized, it's all materialistic. Like when it comes to like Christmas now, it seems like, I mean, there was a poll that came out. I don't never fucking understand these polls because of the fact that they're always like, we did a poll. We found out this many Americans are in this situation. And I'm like, you didn't ask me. I never got asked what the fuck if I'm in debt. Supposedly 62% of Americans are in debt after Christmas.
And the other 40% are already in debt before Christmas, and they're just in more debt.
Right? And it's like, it's so crazy because it's like, it shouldn't be a holiday about that. It shouldn't be materialistic. It shouldn't be about money. I've read in the Bible. Again, I'm just a novice on the Bible. I'm not an expert. I've only read the Bible once or two times. But in the Bible, they do talk about there was a time when Jesus went. He went to the goldsmiths. He went to the money exchangers, and he flipped the tables. And what did you see?
He would flip the tables, and he would have a switch, and he would just be whipping people, whipping the shit out of like the money changers in the temples, like get the ass out of here.
Wait, he was whipping them?
He was whipping ass. He was like, get your ass out of the temple. You don't do that shit in here.
God damn.
Yeah, Jesus was right. Jesus told us right. He was like, wow.
So anyway, I thought he just flipped the tables, but he he didn't like that.
That's the second person that said that. I thought he just flipped the tables. Like, no, the paintings, it shows him with, like, look at the multiple paintings. He's got a whip or a switch.
You can pull it up on Google right now. We gotta show him.
But my other coworker said, like, oh, yeah, no, I thought he just, like, flipped the tables. I didn't know he was whipping them.
Yeah, the whipping part, like, you're making Jesus sound like he's a plantation owner. The fuck? You're whipping people.
He didn't get that until Jesus Christ Superstar.
Thou art not bringing 200 pounds of cotton. Like, Jesus. Fuck Christ. So like, anyways, but I just see the picture of whipping.
There you go. So that effect. He's like all the money changers. He's got
Oh,
like
wait.
Yes, that's just one of them. There's a whole bunch of those.
Hold on.
There's a lot of them.
This picture looks like Jesus' position
Uh-huh.
is the position that my mom was in when she would whip my ass when I was in the shower. You can see that shit.
Can you see it? Producer? Producer Rob?
Can you see that?
Oh, she's got it.
Oh my god, look at it. He's got the. And he's like, no! He about to put his hand out, grab that shit.
It's the same shit your mom did to you, man.
What the fuck? Oh no! No, this is a better one. Hold on. No. Hold on. Look at that one. He's got the shit. No, it's like he's got a palm tree.
He's got something in his hand.
He's got a fucking palm tree.
Whipping the shit out of the bankers.
Holy shit. He's whooping. Jesus, don't play.
Not today. Not today.
Here's what Jesus would have done. Oh, I'm done. I'm done.
There you go, the banker, the real banker.
He does have a fucking. Oh, look at this. No.
That's legit. That was painted back in like 500 BC. Or that was painted in like 1080. I'm sorry.
He is whooping a Wells Fargo ass nigga. Like, look at that shit. Like, that is crazy.
There's like Goldman Sachs back there and shit.
What?
Good shit, man. Good shit.
Why is he doing that?
The original Occupy Wall Street protester. Jesus. Good times, man. Good times.
Okay, I didn't know Jesus had a whip.
Yeah, he was whipping ass. But anyway, man, it really comes down to Christmas. Like, you take away all the monetary and the consumerism and the capitalism and the religious aspects. Take all that away, man. And it really just comes down to being with your family and being happy and together with your loved ones on Christmas. And that's what it should be. That's what I think it should be. That's what I think it always has been and should always be about. It's just being with people you love and being happy on this day of the solstice.
Right.
And just don't get caught up in today's consumerism, and just remember that people love you, and to love yourself, love other people, and have a Merry Christmas.
Never go into debt over that shit.
Like, never go into debt.
It's crazy how
just imagine a credit card just like cutting your wrists every year, man. And in and of that fact, I hate Christmas for that, because I'm as broke as a bum right now, because I had to buy so many presents for everybody. But I do love Christmas because it is going to bring my family together for Christmas.
It's crazy though, like when you think about it, if I were to, let's just say I were to be the devil, right?
Don't just say it. Don't talk about it.
Don't just say it, be about it. Well, then I'm going to put on a sheep's clothing and I'm a wolf. Like literally, man, like seriously, like I'm going to literally infiltrate what Christmas is supposed to be about, and I'm going to infiltrate that shit, and I'm going to be about it in a different sense. Like, it's sad that the fact that people don't realize, like, this consumerism, materialistic shit, all this shit, this is not what the supposed, God would want. Like, this is bad. Like, this ain't even good. Like, if I were to infiltrate that shit, if I were the devil infiltrating that shit, I would take any mention of Jesus away from all of it. I would pretend that it was about Jesus, but guess what? A true instigator pretends about the situation, but they're really manipulating the situation. That's what it's about. When you're a manipulator, that's what you do. And I believe that they deliberately created the Santa Claus in the image that he was. Because if you look at Santa Claus, I'm sorry, Yule was a horned god. Or it was a goat with horns, just like the Baphomet. And even Chronicles of Narnia. There's a scene in Chronicles of Narnia. We can't pull it up because we can't do video tonight, but there's a scene in Chronicles of Narnia where he rides up with goats.
Oh,
like,
yeah, the satyr guy and everything.
Right.
Too, yeah.
And he has a magical bag with magical things. Here's the thing about Santa Claus. When you're a kid, who's cooler?
Jesus or Santa? Santa, because he's bringing me cool stuff.
He's bringing you gifts. He can navigate the world in a blink of an eye. Mm-hmm. He can go down chimneys in a millisecond.
He can break into your house without you ever knowing.
He knows if you're naughty or nice. He knows all your thoughts.
He's like the NSA, man. He's
yeah.
spying on you.
It's crazy to me. It's like, wow, like, this is a dude that has all the features of Jesus, but better.
Because he's bringing you cool stuff.
He can do everything but raise the dead. Like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I would deliberately come up with someone that has these features and attributes that other people can then say, this is what I idolize. I idolize Santa Claus. And it's the saddest shit. I think it's sad for Christians. I'm like, y'all don't see this? Like, me, it ain't a big deal. But these Christians, y'all need to see this and be like, whoa, like this. I'm not going to tell my kids about Santa Claus because honestly, my mother, and I hate to bring this up on here, but my mother, she lied about it. She told me there was a Santa Claus. That messed me up. It did, because in your mind as a child, you hear that and you say, all my friends at school are making fun of me now because I said Santa Claus is real. And guess what? I'm the last to find out. Little Timmy went and told everybody in the classroom that Santa Claus ain't real. Mm-hmm. Now guess what? What else ain't real? You were adamant as hell about it. You were telling me all this stuff. You were telling me I'm going to get these gifts. I'm going to do this. Oh, there ain't no gifts under the tree. You done hid it in the closet and brought it out. And guess what? Now, I don't know what else to believe in because you said what else is a lie?
As like a little 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid, you just kind of shattered his whole world in terms of what he can believe, what you say and what you don't say about that stuff. And what you're teaching him,
right.
Well, what else are you lying to me about? And that kind of shatters a lot of trust with the child when he's really young. So, but no, maybe not detrimentally, but it does definitely.
Everyone talks about millennials being so, and they talk about hey, you're just fucking, this whole generation doesn't believe in God. Well, there's a fucking reason for that. Maybe because we believed in something and we realized, wow, it was wrong because you lied to me about it. I'm not gonna believe that now. I don't even know what to believe now. Now my mind wants to critically think about situations and about future and past lives that I don't even want to talk about the shit that you be talking about. It's crazy, but I don't know. I think ultimately though, when it comes to Christmas, me personally, I think Christmas should be about a time where you get together with family. Because I think it's sad that a lot of family doesn't get together until a funeral happens.
Yeah, it's true, man.
It's the saddest shit. It really is. And I think that people need to realize, look, let's treat Christmas as a time to where family gets together, we have dinner, and we are thankful for the things that we have, and we give gifts to each other because we ain't seen each other all year. Let's just get together. Let's party. Let's celebrate. It's Christmas. Let's do this. Christmas means family. That's what Christmas should mean nowadays. Bottom line. Forget the paganism. Forget the Christian, shit. It's just about being together.
It's important to remember and to know the origins of what you're practicing and why. But at the same time, ultimately, you're there with your family and your loved ones, and that's all that really matters. So, and you're just enjoying your time together. So,
right.
But and whatever you're practicing though during your during your Christmas time, just try to be mindful of the origins of where it came from, and don't just blindly follow what everyone else is because of tradition.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, on that note, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Can you pull up the calendar in here?
Okay.
Want to let everybody know, this is a podcast on Christmas. We want to get into more serious stuff. We want to get into esoteric stuff. We want to get into the occult.
Oh yeah, our other podcasts before this have elaborated on what we're going to be talking about in the majority of our podcasts, and we want to elaborate on a lot of what he said, the esoterics and the occult and sacred geometry and secret societies and conspiracies and all that whatnot. And we want to talk majority about that. That's what this podcast is essentially about. So, but this is our Christmas podcast, and this is us easing you into it.
We're just having fun, guys. Honestly, we hope that a lot of you get involved. We hope that you put comments in the section. Let us know what you want. If you guys want us to talk about a certain subject, put it in the comment section. Let us know. Hey, talk about NASA. Talk about moon landing. Talk about the Moors. Talk about, you know what I mean? Give us subjects that you want us to talk about. We'll research them for you. We'll see what we do. Because when it comes to research, we're real. I'm really good at it. Brandon's really good at it. We're both really good at what we do. Let us know. Hey, we want you to research this. We'll do it because we live in a time that a lot of people say, well, where'd you get that information from? Don't believe that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, anything that we talk about, we want you to do your own research on it, and we'll never lie to you. We'll tell you what we know, And but always take what we say and what anybody else says with a grain of salt. Do your own research on it before you take anything.
Don't believe in anything we say because it's called critically thinking. You need to literally look at the information that you're given and say, look, this is the information I've been given. I'm a critically thinking. You know why? Anybody can be lying at any time. Do not just believe in one thing. I index the first 3. This is what I do. I deliberately look for a video on YouTube on a certain subject. Then I try to find something that debunks that video. And I watch that subject. Then I look up both subjects and I look up the first 3 searches on Google. And for some weird reason, I told Rafa this already, I look at the last 10th page. I look at the 10th page to see what's at the end. I don't know why I do that, but I look at the end. And that's it. And that's how I research.
Sometimes you come up with something.
Yeah, so it's been one time I actually came up with something. I'll tell you, that's on another podcast. So, but honestly, man, like, you guys got to help us out. Like, let us know what you want us to talk about in this show.
Constructive criticism is great too. Like, let us know, like, if like anything you like on the video, anything you didn't like on the video, if it's something you want us to elaborate on more, or something we elaborated on too much. Just let us know, man. Like, and just tell us whatever you want to tell us at all in the comments. It's great.
Exactly. So. Thank you guys, because we're just starting off. We just feel like this is something we should do because the only thing we can do is spread this to our generations. Like, the things we're going to talk about hopefully awaken a lot of people. We believe that people are plugged into the system. Literally, this is the red pill station. We believe you take the blue pill or you take the red pill. This is the red pill right now.
Absolutely.
And even though I'm saying that and y'all are thinking about the Matrix, honestly, you don't realize how much we really are in the Matrix and that we really are plugged in. And we want to unplug as many people as we possibly can because in the end, I don't want to look at my kid and I don't want to have to tell him I tried. You know what I mean? I don't want to tell him that, like, I tried to do it and I didn't succeed. I want to tell him that I actually succeeded. I think all of you should be the same way because we're all trying to get to Zion. Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But I mean, okay. Other than that, this is good. Hit us up on the comment section. Have a good Christmas this year. And
love yourselves, love your family, and have a very Merry Christmas. Exactly.
And deck the halls with bells of holly.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, we want to give a couple shout-outs, though, to a lot of our friends out there, since we have a few seconds left. Platinum over at, what's this channel called?
So, it's the Wolf of OC, _Wolf of OC. Guys, honestly, follow this guy. He's really good. A lot of the information he puts out there. He does great podcasts on sports, fights. If you're looking at sports, fights, stuff like that, he keeps on track on all that. All of his shit's legit. And he's a great guy. Like, this good friend.
He's a pretty cool guy. He's on PlayStation 4 a lot. He likes to hang out with us on there. You'll hear him on his podcast give a shout out to us every now and then. He likes to refer to me as Brian, the white one to red PB&J, which is understandable because I am pretty white PB&J. But my name's not Brian. It's Brandon, Mr. Platinum over there. So get that right. I'd like to give other shout-outs to Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell, probably the most 2 interesting people I listen to almost every day before I go to work on my podcast. Duncan Trussell is incredibly interesting to me. I mean, if there's anybody I would ever want to get on my show, it'd be my dream to get on this show.
Can you email him?
Trussell or Les Stroud. Les Stroud's pretty amazing, but Duncan Trussell or Joe Rogan to be on the show would probably be a dream come true in terms of podcasting. But yeah, shout out to you guys.
Awesome. Sweet. So that's the _Wolf _of _OC. Hit him up, guys. He's really good. You'll enjoy that podcast a lot, especially if you're into sports, if you're into fights. He gets all the fights, all the sports, and he has a lot of different interesting guests on his show. So definitely take a look at him.
Sweet. Thank you, everybody. We are Red Pill Station. I am Brandon.
This is Tony, and we're signing off.